and welcome to string class video for the second part of the Baby Shark scales exploration. This time we're going to be doing C major. I've decided that that's probably the key that cellos and violins can sort of develop the same sort of finger patterns and see the logic when it crosses over the strings rather than being starting on an open string note. So, but let's get our bodies warmed up first. So can you get your feet hip width apart? And we're going to go, let's start at the top this time. So we're going to slightly tuck our chin so that we're not arching back. Okay. Imagine that you're holding like a little, a very soft piece of fruit, like a, I don't know, a peach underneath your chin. And turn it one way, and the other, and one way, and the other. Fantastic. And then keeping your head nice and still, shrug your shoulders up, oh, and roll them back. Shoulders up, and drop. And then we're going to warm up our fingers and our forearm muscles here. I'm going to flick bits of water out, and then scoop loads of air using all of those finger muscles, especially when it's cold. If a lot of the time we're going to be playing in open rooms with all the windows and doors open at the moment, and so our fingers can get really cold. This is a really good way of warming them up even before we touch our instruments, so that we're not straining them or forcing them in any way. Okay, so we've done that. Give our arms a little flop, and then we're just going to do a little bit of sway. You can go bigger because you haven't got instrument in the way. Here we go. And then we're going to create our trunk. So remember, thumbs on the bottom of your ribs. So feel the bit where sort of they end here, and little fingers around where your hip points are. And we don't want to be like sticking our bottoms out or slouching too much. We want this just to be even band all the way. So feel these tummy muscles creating a nice trunk. But then we need to keep the knees loose and not trying to keep the shoulders neutral. Okay, and then we're just going to go rising up onto the tip of our toes and back down again, rising up, back down, wiggle your toes, feel the roots through your feet, loose knees, trunk, passive wide shoulders so the arms can like flop like the branches from the trunk, and then we've got beautiful sort of relaxed necks that aren't trying to sort of crush or have any tension in them. Okay, now if you need to tune your instrument, go to the tuning section now. Also, can you go and get a piece of paper and a piece of pen, because you might want to stop the video and copy some of the things that I'm doing on the whiteboard to hopefully sort of make it make sense so you can take it away into your practice. So let's get our instruments, and last time we did a little bowing warm-up, so this time we're going to just do our posture warm-up. So cellos, sit down onto your stools with your hip points going down through the ground, but you can rock forwards onto your feet, still feel like your feet are rooted into the ground, and put your cello away from you, and then let it come back. And I'm sort of in mirror image here, but you want to make sure that your C peg isn't sort of banging into your neck and you're not crunching yourself to get out the way of the cello. So just bring it nice into your body, and you still keep your body nice and straight. Don't hunch to come over it. And fiddle and violin players, we're going to whoosh up onto our collarbone, but I dodged out the way then. Let's see if we can do it without. So keep your trunk nice. There we go. Nice and steady down the line. And bring your instrument in. So hold your instrument if you're an upper string player. Okay, if you're a lower string player, you can have this hand on down the strings. It can have it on the side. You can have it down here. It doesn't have to be up at the top. So, and then we're just going to loosen our shoulders and bring our hands to just the top bit of the neck. Okay, and we're just going to stroke the neck. Open and close, stroke the neck. Trying not to get this too busy. Keeping the wrist nice and passive and loose. That's it. And then we're going to come and we're going to swing the elbow, or lift the elbow if you're a low string, to get over the body of the violin. So in and swing, swing back and out, in and swing back and out, and try and make sure that these shoulders stay down, not lifting up like this. Okay. And then the last bit is going to be wrist for the string players and getting your thumb over and going right down for the cello players. Okay, so up, round, wrist, wrist comes back, swing the elbow, open, close, open, wrist, close, open, wrist, wrist, open, and turn it into a swing up and a swing down. And this is really oiling this joint here so that it's flexible enough to allow us to go round without lifting up the shoulder. Fantastic. Okay. Once we're there in our balanced sort of middle position, so here for cellos, you're going to have the thumb sort of at the back of the, and you can tap your fingers here. Upper strings, we're going to swing our elbow and tap across all our strings, lifting from the back of our knuckles. That's it. And then just have a little experiment with your bottom strings. So don't jab your whole body to get round there. Just swing the elbow around, tap, 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 and back again. So you're exploring the elbow levels that we need to get the fingers round to each string. So really your arm's job is to carry your fingers to the strings so that your wrist and everything isn't having to get involved at that point. Okay, lovely. Let's do a tiny bit of a bow warm-up. So we're going to put the bow, everybody's going to go on the balance point for the moment just to set up your bow hold. So again, violins, remember, the thumb just taps very gently in the bit of wood between the black nut and your binding, and it's just got a nice gentle curve to it. Then we tap the middle two fingers, make sure it's not resting on top. Tap the first finger, tap your little finger. For cellists, so violins and violas just have a little play around with that at the moment. Cellos, so we're going to flop our hands out, okay, and we're going to put our middle two fingers over. We're going to gently just tap the thumb, hold the bow with the other hand if you need to, flop the little finger over so it's on your black bit and then your first bit here. So really the hand just can hang onto your bow. That's it, fantastic. Okay, so put the bows on the string at your balance point, and we're going to use a G string today. So upper strings, you need to bring your elbow up so you get a nice view of my armpit. Bring your elbows up so that with your elbow, your wrist and your knuckles are all in line, and so they're working as a team. Okay, so we're up here. All right, don't want to see any of that. All right, okay, check your bow hold again. And we're going to do a push bow to go right to the heel of the bow. So from the balance point, everybody, I want you to push right to the heel so that you feel that click, okay? And then let the bow just sort of flop and take your little finger off and feel the weight of the bow collapse, and then put the little finger back on and see if you can get it back into playing position. So see what the job of that little finger is, to get the weight. Cello's, yours is a bit different, but it still has, even though it's much more over the bow, it still counterbalances the weight. Okay, so get your little finger ready and then pick up the bow again with that little finger and pull. And only go to the balance point. So now the bow should feel light again. Reset your bow hold. Middle fingers, front finger, pinky. Make sure your thumb isn't locked out. Tap it onto the wood and push. You'll get some crunchy noises. We're not too worried about the sound we're making at the moment. It's more learning how to put the weight into the bow hold and not be afraid of taking the weight. So now we're going to push up, take our little finger off, push your little finger back on, collect the weight of the bow and do a pull. And stop at the balance point. Check your bow hold, make it nice and loose because the weight can just land on the string, and then push. And now we're going to join it up. Pull, stop, push. Feel the weight on the little finger, pull. Make sure that your elbow is staying at the right level. actually we're using a muscle here for the upper strings that sometimes if our bow hold isn't low enough, if our fingers are too high, we avoid this bit of our bow. So it will feel very, very weird if you're not used to playing at the heel, okay? So tap your thumb, flop your fingers, bend your pinky, okay? And we're going to go once more. Push to the heel. Feel the weight on that little finger. Pull. Feel the bow balance in the hand again. Push. Feel the weight on the little finger. Pull. Feel the bow balance in the hand again. Yeah? So it's that play between a balance to a weighty bow hold to a balance, and not being afraid of how that weight feels. Sometimes we get a bit, feel that weight and go, oh, I don't like that, and then we don't go and use that bit of the bow. So we're training our bodies to really use that bit. As my old violin teacher should say, you've bought the whole bow or you've rented the whole bow, you may as well use it. Okay, so last lesson we were doing about scales, baby shark scales, and how we divide the scale into two halves. So you may remember we've got, I'll do it here, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, and do. Okay, and we can split the scale here so that we have two equal halves. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone. Now, as the last scale we did, our do was an open string, so the patterns of tones and semitones actually fits really nicely under our fingers, so it feels really logical. Now sometimes we can lose that feeling of symmetry of two halves and pairs when we don't start on an open string. Now cellos, I know you do have a C string, but I'm going to ask you to start on a fourth finger for your C. So you're doing the upper octave of your C major scale. Violins and violas, you're starting with a third finger on a G. So let's just draw out the finger pattern for that one. So if this is our G string, that's the string we're starting on. We're starting here. That's going to be our C, and that is our do. Okay. Then our re is going to be open D. And then our mi is going to be E, and then our fa is close, is going to be either a low 2, so I'll do the violin fingerings on this side, cellos on the other, so that would be third finger, open string, first finger, low 2, third finger onto the A string, B, C, low 2. Okay. Okay, so that's our fingering for the violin viola one, and then I'll use green for the cellos. So you start with your fourth finger on the C, and then your open string, first finger, and use your second finger for the F, and then you have a fourth finger for the G, open string and then you have a second finger here. Okay, so let's just have a go at playing this scale, and then I'll start deconstructing it in the same way. So can you find your C, starting C? So violins, it's going to be 3 fingers on the G string. We have a harmonic, a quarter-wave harmonic there to tune it. Cellos, you're lucky because you can do your open C. Okay, so you can find your open C and then tune your fourth finger. Violins, if you play open G, and then find harmonic and melting. Cellos, you can check your open string and then find your fourth finger. Okay, so I'm just going to play it until everybody's found it. Okay, now we're going to do 2 beats on each note. So 1, open D, first finger E, second finger F, fourth finger or third finger for the G, open A, first finger for the B, and second finger for the C. So violins and violas, we're using the first finger is close to the second finger is close to the first finger. Cellos, you're just using your second fingers. Okay, so we've got the finger pattern. If you struggle with that and you want to go back and practice that scale a little bit more just to get the finger pattern feeling a bit more comfortable, then you can. Okay, so now we're going to try and split it up a bit. So if we have C is our do, D is our re, mi, fa, and then let's do an orange for the second half. So, la, di, do. Okay, so if we're going to do Baby Shark, remember it had a do, re, fa, 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 fa. But we just worked it out first by doing the do, fa, do, fa. So let's just practice that. So let's find our do, which is our C. So either use your open string and then tune your fourth finger if you're a viola or a cello. You can tune with your open string. For violins, play your G and then find a quarter wave harmonic with your third finger and then melt in. Okay, so we've got our C and then we're going to play our F, which is our fa, so that's do, fa. So go from C to an F and back to the C and back to the F and back to the C and back to the F. Okay, I might put my shoulder rest on for this one. Okay, so the next bit we're going to do is we're going to do the next fourth, the pair. So we do a G, which is going to be ours. So, do, because it's so, la, do, 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 do. So we've done do, fa is the first half of the scale. So, do. And what we notice, it's the same pattern. It's either fourth finger to second finger or third finger to second finger, depending on what instrument you're playing. So find your G this time, so we can all test it with our open strings. Always use an open string when you can to help you with your tuning, okay? Even if you don't actually test it, you can see if you can make it ring. Okay, now we're going to do so, do. So we're going to find our top C with our second finger. So okay, so we've got our two frames, and actually what you'll notice is it's the same pattern. Diagonal, we've got a C, 3 to 2, 3 to 2, or 4 to 2, 4 to 2, okay? So that's our framework. Now we're going to add in the second note. So we've got do, re, fa. So it's C, D, F. So find your C, open string, for viola and cellos, just to tune your third and fourth fingers. Violins, use the harmonic. So we've all got our C's, and then open D, and then second finger for our fa, and again C, D, fa, and really tune the fa to the do, fa, do, fa, do. So now we know that we've got our scales in 2 halves, we should be able to work out the finger pattern for the next bit. So we've got sol, la, do, G, A, C, 3 open 2 or 4 open 2. So let's just tune our sol, which is our G, with your open G. Make sure your wrist's in a nice position so that your fingers can move. Tap your thumb if you've got some tension with your thumb. Okay, so this is our sol, open A, la, and then do. And really think with the G, do, 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 G, open A. Okay, so we've tuned our C, our D, our E, our G, our A, our C. So the only bits we've missed out are our semitones. Now remember last time I told you you can choose your semitones. So if I'm playing a C major scale on the piano, I cannot choose where I put the E or the B. And I can't choose how small this semitone is and this semitone is. Now, as a string player, those semitones are actually a little tiny bit closer than they are on a piano in our scales, because we want the do, re, mi, feels like it wants to go to fa, mi, and then sol, la, ti is aiming upwards. Okay, so we can choose our semitones, and that's what we're doing now. So let's do the first one. We've got do, let's find our C. Or tune with your open string if you're a cello, viola. So we're going to go do, D, F, and snuggle the first finger. Now if you're a violin, if that E is bang in tune, you should hear and perhaps see that E string ringing. Can you hear that? Yeah? It sort of has a sort of sunshiny quality to it. Now, cellos and violas, you're lucky because you've got the C to tune to, so your Cs will ring. The E's won't ring in the same way, but you've got the C's to listen to. So let's tune our C. C, D, F, and then E. And if your violin's bang in tune and your first C was in tune, then that E will ring. Okay, and now let's do the next pattern. So it's exactly the same finger pattern, but it's upper string. So it's 3, open, 2 to the 1. Or 4, open, 2, 1. So let's tune our G. Make sure your hand's nice and relaxed. And then we're going to go G, open A, top C, and now snuggle the B. Okay, so now we've tuned all of our scales using our 2 baby shark patterns, and we should start really to feel that this half of the scale, even though it's set over 2 strings, you can still feel this first pattern of 4 notes, so you know how they sort of link together as a group. and linked together with your ears. It's so that we don't get lost in our scale when sometimes we can, sort of our fingers start to slip out of tune, and then we sort of feel like we're losing the centre of where we started. And so, here we go. So we've got 2 halves to the scales. They don't look as logical as the ones that start on an open string. They're sort of set like in a little dog leg shape. But we still need to treat them in our ears like 2 halves of a scale, like paired up. Okay, so let's have a go at playing our scale again. But I want you to really listen out for your anchor point. C, F, G, C, and then choose your semitones. Okay, are we ready? So let's find your C. Open strings if you're a cello or a viola. Okay, we'll do 2 beats for each note. 2, 2. G. Back down. Open A. Listen for the G ringing. F. Listen for the E ringing. Open D. Listen for the C ringing. So your string instrument will talk to you when you are listening, basically. Sometimes we shut down our ears because we just, we're doing our practice before school, we just want to get to school, or we're tired. And I think we have to remind ourselves that a little bit of practice where our ears are open, our hand is loose, and we are open to creating these magical glistening sounds on our instruments, that's the best kind of scale practice. Not just going through the motions, I've done that finger pattern, it's good enough. Really start to make friends with your string instrument. It will tell you when you're getting it right. If it's in tune to start with, it will then ring and say, yep, you got that one. Yep, that's that. I feel comfortable with that. That's lovely. Thank you very much for playing me in tune. Okay, but you can't do it with the tight fingers, and you can't do it if your ears aren't really listening and adjusting. So you can apply the Baby Shark method to any of your scales, split them in half, find out where the do, re, mi, fa, that's one bit, and the sol, la, ti, do, that's another bit, and just make sure that you create the frameworks, do to fa, so to do, add in the next notes, and then choose your semitones and put those in together, and then your whole scale will just blossom like the flower analogy. So scale practice is watering your tuning flower. Okay? Have fun!